recognized non-native accent for this language, it wasn't ticked. So it was just a matter of taking it, then the microphone was. So that is how we rectified the problem. So we have here two presentations. The first one, which didn't come out very well, it was for PowerPoint. And then for simulation, we also have it. But I don't know whether we are going to present the two. Maybe the facilitators will help us from there to decide, because we didn't present the two work which we had made.
I think you could just start presenting.
Let me welcome the teacher who will take us through.
So we have not combined the two videos, but we are going to see how best we can manage the time. Yeah.
Hello, class. I hope we are okay. I trust that we are all fine. Allow me to welcome you back again for this third term. I welcome you back from your holidays. I believe you've enjoyed and you've come when you're very fresh and reloaded. Yeah, we are going to keep on with our discussion. And this time we are going to begin with a new topic in physics. And the topic that we are going to discuss today comes from the theme which we are going to share here. It is a very interesting discussion. I hope by the end of this, you're going to come out when we are better off. So, this time we are beginning with the theme titled heat, and under we are going to look at the topic which is called heat transfer. That's what we're going to discuss today, though we are not going to finish it in a day. It should not be maybe a surprise. Yeah, first of all, we need to know, or we need to begin by knowing the meaning of heat transfer. And heat transfer by saying the transfer of heat energy from a region of high temperature to a region of low temperature. And that one now takes us to the modes of heat transfer, or the ways in which this heat can transfer from one point to another. There are three ways, or there are three modes. And these modes you've been discussing it in primary, so it is not something which you are hearing for the first time. I believe even just before me mentioning, you already have the answers. The first one, you're well aware that it is called conduction. Then the second one, which we shall also discuss, is convection. And then the last one is radiation. Let's move on, and then we begin by discussing conduction. Conduction, by definition, is the transmission of heat energy from one particle of the medium to another, with the particles being in direct contact with each other. That is how we can define conduction. And in this mode, what we need to know is that the two bodies, or these two regions, must be connected. And the way the heat transfer from one point to another, or from one body to another, is that the heat from one body is just conducted, or it is just transferred to another body. In this one here, what I also want you to know is that conduction takes place majorly in solids, though in liquid also there, but it is very, very actually, I can say it is very poor, though it is some degree of conduction. So majorly it is in the solids. Let's also go and look at some of the examples of heat transfer by conduction. The first one is when your iron encloses by maybe the flat iron or the iron box. The way the heat from the flat iron transferred to the cloth is by this mode which you're calling conduction. Then the next one is the heat conduction through the sun and the sun at the dishes. And what I want you to know is that we may not just zero it to the beaches, but even if you walk out on a sunny day and then you remove the pair of shoes from your feet, then you touch the ground with your feet, or you step on the ground with your feet, the soil will be moving into your hand through that process which we call a conduction. Let's go to the second mode of heat transfer, which we are calling convection. And this one, we can simply define it as the movement of fluid molecules from a region of higher temperature to that of lower temperature. In this way, or in this case, or in this mode, what we need to know is that it involves the actual movement of the molecules of the liquid or the molecules of the gas. In this one, the molecules which is hotter or which is warmer, it moves to a region which is having low temperature. So this one is different from conduction in a way that in convection, there is that actual movement of the particles of the matter from that region of high temperature to that region of low temperature. But in conduction, molecules do not move. They are just static. Heat is just transferred from one molecule to another. But in convection, molecules move. That is a point that you should not miss. Let's go and then we look at the examples of heat transfer by convection. The first one which we are talking about is boiling of water. And the next one is blood circulation in warm-blooded animals. And then the last one is the warm water around the equator moves towards the pole, while cooler water at the pole moves towards the equator. I hope you know this. When you heat a molecule, it becomes less dense. And according to this example, what we've seen is that the water which is around the equator, I hope you know, around the equator, the temperature is very hot because there too much heat is received. So it means even the water which is around the equator, as a result of receiving much heat, it becomes warmer than the waters which is at the pole. The waters which is at the pole, for them, for it, it is cold. And since it is cold, it becomes more dense. Then this one at the equator, it is warmer and then it becomes less dense. So the one which is warmer, it moves to that one which is to that region which is having a low temperature, and then the one which is having a low temperature moves to that region of high temperature. That is a simple explanation I can give. Let's also go and look at the last mode of heat transfer, which we are calling radiation. By definition, radiation is the transfer of heat energy from a region of high temperature to that of low temperature by means of electromagnetic radiation. This one there, what we need to know about it is that in this mode, the heat move or it is transferred from a region of high temperature to that of low temperature through vacuum. This term which we have written here, electromagnetic radiation. This one means the process, a process of heat transfer which does not involve any medium or the transfer in a vacuum. So in this one, what I want you to understand is that in this, the transfer takes place even in the absence of any medium. We don't need any medium for heat transfer from one point to another. But in those other first two modes that you've discussed, for conduction and then convection, for them they need a medium. for heat to move from one point to another. But for radiation, it takes place in vacuum. That's why we have said by means of electromagnetic radiation. Let's go and look at the examples. And the first one is the heat from the sun reaching the earth. When we look at the sun, it is at some good kilometers, some millions of kilometers from where we are. But on earth, we are able to receive the sun's heat, and yet there is no medium which is connecting the sun with the earth. So you can see that the heat from the sun will reach the earth by traveling in the vacuum. And that one now agrees with the explanation which you have had. Then the next one is a person sitting near the fire source receives heat through radiation. This one is self-explanatory. When you source, maybe when it is too cold and you want to warm yourself, you just have to put there the fire and then you sit near it. The heat from the source will reach you. Way it will be traveling in vacuum, which we call that process radiation. Then the last example is X-rays from an X-ray. That has been our discussion, and allow me just to take you through this summary. In this picture, what you can see is the hand, someone holding the saucepan with a handle, and this saucepan is being put on the fire, or on the heat source, and inside this saucepan, we are having water. So you can see where it is labeled conduction. That's the handle, and the heat from the saucepan is reaching the hand. There is that medium, and that medium is the solid. So you will see that the heat from the source will be transferred to the saucepan, then the saucepan will now transmit it to the hand through that handle. So that one, it is representing conduction. Then in the water, we know water is a fluid, and the water at the bottom of the saucepan, after gaining heat, they will become less dense. The water molecules there will become less dense. Since they are less dense, they will be forced to move up or to rise up. And the ones which are at the top there, for them, the molecules there, they will be at a cooler temperature, or the temperature will be low. So for them, they will be more dense. They will be forced to move down. Then those molecules at the bottom, since they are warmer and they are less dense, they will be forced to move up, forming what we call the convectional currents. So since we are seeing, or we shall witness the actual movement of the molecules, that one now takes us to what we are calling convection, because in that it will be involving the actual movement of the molecules. Then we are seeing that one which is labeled radiation. That symbol is just representing the heat, how the heat from the source is being transmitted to the surrounding, and there is no medium which is connecting it. So since there is no medium, we call that a mode of heat transfer radiation. That has been the summary of what we've discussed today, but I just don't want to leave you with nothing. There's some small assignment which I want you to do, and you submit. I will mark when I come back. There's only one assignment, and it reads, as a senior one physics student, describe a situation in which heat transfer occurs and state the mode. That is the simple assignment I can give you. Do it, I'll come back and mark. Thank you so much for attending the lesson. I wish you a good day, and I wish you good luck. Thank you.
So that has been the first presentation. I don't know whether I can receive the question for this one or We can look at the other one, then summarize.
Yeah, we shall combine.
All right. Let's go and look at the simulation. That one will not
But
take us long.
is it the same person?
Yeah, it is the same person.
Okay.
Yes, once again, allow me welcome you for this very important.
For this one here, what we have discussed here is not rhyming with the question which we have, with the lesson which you have prepared, simply because in the other one, for e-transfer, we tried to look for the simulation. There was nothing rhyming with it, but we wanted to do something. So this one we are picking from a different topic. We can proceed.
Lesson. This is the continuation of what we have been discussing in our previous lesson. You're well aware that we have been discussing the states of matter, and today this lesson is just going to take us through the three states of matter that we have. I hope you're aware that at the moment we have now 4 states of matter, and these are solid, liquid, gas, and the recent one that have been discovered is what we call the plasma. Today, I'm just going to take you through the first 3, then the last one we shall look or discuss it in the next meeting. So let's begin with the solids. And under solids, we are going to look at the properties of solids. And from your discussion of states of matter in primary, I understand you've also looked at the characteristics or the properties of all these states of matter. So as we are beginning with the solids, what are some of the characteristics or properties of solid that you know? From this diagram, this one is just representing the arrangement and the behaviors of the molecules of solids. And from this one here, we can see that the molecules are closely packed together. That one will give us the first property. And the second property is that solid has got definite shape, and also it has got a definite volume. So those are some of the major properties of solids. And also what we need to know is that much as we are saying the particles of solids are compact together, but we need to know that this one here, the molecules are not just static, they are ever vibrating. As you can see, the molecules here are vibrating. But what we need to know is that the rate of vibration also depends on the temperature or on the heat. So from here, you will see that if I increase on the temperature or the heat, the rate of vibration of these molecules will increase. The rate of vibration of the molecules will increase. As you can see, formerly or initially, the molecules were not like this, but because the temperature has been increased, it has made them now to vibrate. And if I'm to go deeper, since the rate of vibration has increased, this one now will weaken that force that binds them together, and eventually it will make the molecules to move far away from each other. And if you reduce on the temperature or on the heat, the rate of vibration will also slow down, as you can see there. You can watch that. You're going to see that at the end, these molecules are going to gather back. They will come back because we have reduced on the temperature or we have cooled it. As you can see, yeah, you can see that. So that one is just trying to illustrate to us that when you reduce on the temperature or on the heat, molecules of solids, they vibrate slowly. But when you increase on the temperature, the rate of vibration increases. You can see what has happened. This one means we have cooled the solid. So the molecules are now vibrating, but slowly. That has been solid. Let's go and look at the liquid. The molecules of liquids, this one is representing the molecules of liquids. For molecules of liquids, they are at least somehow far away from each other. They're somehow far away from each other. And also what you need to know is that the first property of liquid is that they don't have definite shape. Their shape depends on the shape of the container in which they are kept, as you can see here. This one is shapeless. And also in the liquid, the molecules are also not static, but here they just don't vibrate. But what happens is the molecules move. As you can see, these molecules are moving. So that one, it will also give us one of the properties of liquid. And also another property is that this liquid here, you cannot reduce on its speed. And in physics, the best that it cannot be compressed. However much you try to squeeze it to reduce on its volume, you cannot achieve that. So one thing that you should not forget is that the liquids cannot be compressed, or we can say they are incompressible. So that is a property of liquid. Let's also go and look at the last one that we're going to discuss today, and that is gas. Yeah, that one is representing how the molecules of gas behave. Here you are seeing they are just in random motion, and it will take us to another discussion which we shall have it in our coming lesson, which is going to be about the Brownian motion. For the molecules of gas, they are ever on motion and they are moving randomly in each direction, as you can see. And also this one, just like we have discussed in solid, the rate of motion here depends on the temperature or on the heat. And if we increase on the temperature, you will see that the rate of motion, the rate of movement of the molecules will also increase. And when you slow or when you cool, the rate of motion will also decrease. So that one you need to know. And also, if you are to look at the properties of gas, is that gas does not have definite shape. They take the shape of the container. And also this one, the molecules are ever on motion. So that's the end of our lesson for today. Let's adjourn this lesson till next time. Thank you so much.
So that has been the presentation of group one, physics group one. I hope we have tried with all our level best, though there's still room for perfection. With this, not to waste time, let me open the door for questions or any recommendation that you can give to group one to perfect on their presentation. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Let me begin from the areas of strength. From the presentation, the previous presentation, I want to applaud you for the background. You was very quiet. Also, you had a very good slide quality according to you. The power was not contested. However, these are the areas where I would like you to improve, in my opinion. One, you are supposed to, when you're explaining those points, maybe convention, maybe you put the image there as you're explaining so that the learner can be able to relate what you're explaining there. with the image. For example, when you say example is ironing, is a way of conduction, you put an image there where someone is ironing. Then, secondly, you are supposed to use the pointer. For example, you had an image there in the summary part there. You are saying this here is, if you had a pointer there or a laser, you'll be showing us there so that the learners can be following. Then finally, your summary was more, you are again explaining the thing, it was a bit long. So you find that if you have put that image there, in summary, just outline, maybe in 30 seconds. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have taken that in good faith. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes?
Yes.
I think my comment is in line with what you have just said. In your first presentation, your presentation, so I just text them. I think when we reach those points of like you are explaining about radiation, it would have been good if you had brought a photo. For like someone seated and there's a fire source somewhere, seated next to it, then you can see like now you see the heat is reaching to radiation. Otherwise, simulations are so well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Supplement on what you are saying.
Yes, please.
Those three transfer processes, convection, radiation, and conduction, they have videos. And you could have used the words that can't forget what you or she has seen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? No comments? No comments. Actually, I also had a similar issues like him, but he has covered them. One, we should make these materials like self-contained. You made a lot of assumptions about in your teaching. You know this one, you did it in primary 7. What if they missed it in primary 7? You know you have heard about this in this area. But you remember these are people who are always at different levels. So make it, even if they have covered, but isn't it? And my idea was maybe the students will even understand you more. You are there, you are playing this video, and maybe you are moving around. Until it ends, everybody engaged will be connected to what is going on, isn't it? They can't even go for a short call, like when you're presenting, because they want to see where the end is coming, isn't it? So the issues of saying we can only use this when we're not there